Welcome everyone, and thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Graham Davis and I'm a Technical Product Manager here at Squared Up with a focus on Squared Up Dashboard Server and the Cookdown Community Solutions. I'm joined here today by Ash, a Technical Account Manager who many of you will know from previous demonstrations and webinars. It really is great to see so many of you here today. It really does mean a lot to us that you make the time for these webinars. And today we're going to walk you through everything that's new in Dashboard Server 7.1. We've got a mix of quality of life improvements you've been asking for, a brand new tile type, and one headline feature that brings Dashboard Server closer in line with what you may already be using on Squared Up Cloud. We'll keep this to around 30 minutes and feel free to drop questions into the chat as we go and we'll pick them up and try and answer them as we go along. From a housekeeping perspective, your mic will be muted throughout the session to keep things clean, but as I've said, please use the chat or the Q&A panel for questions. We are recording this session and we'll share the link with you afterwards along with the release notes. Okay, let's take a look at the agenda. First up, there's some navigation enhancements, such as the ability to change the width of the navigation bar and click and drag dashboard between folders in the navigation bar. What we'll also cover is the mobile-friendly portal, which now has a responsive layout which adapts to the screen size automatically. We've also added conditional formatting for alerts so that you can customize colors and highlight alerts that, for example, have been open for over a specified period of time. We've also flattened out the donut tile and transformed it into a new ribbon tile. And we've introduced dashboard variables to give users the ability to dynamically display data from different targets. For example, if you have a VMware grid tile that lists a subset of your virtual machines, you can use dashboard variables so that when you click on a virtual machine in the grid, the chart will update to display data from just that virtual machine. Or perhaps you might even want to drill down to another dashboard altogether, which has a collection of performance graphs. Think drill down, but without any, in this case, VMware management packs to provide the SCOM classes and relationships. Dashboard variables do the heavy lifting for you. We've also done a full refresh and update of the underlying libraries that we use as part of Dashboard Server. We'd definitely recommend updating to Dashboard Server 7.1 to take advantage of this. We'll start with navigation because it's something you'll likely be interacting with dozens of times a day, and we've made 3 improvements here that I think you'll notice immediately. First up is the resizable navigation bar. You can now resize the nav bar, and you can see hopefully on the screenshot that if you hover over the edge of the navigation panel, you'll see a resize handle appear. Just click and drag it to move the navigation bar wider or narrower as you see fit or as you need. This should make a real difference if you have longer dashboard names or deeper folder structures. No more names being truncated. You can give yourself exactly the amount of space that you need. We've also introduced the ability to click and drag dashboards to reorder them. So if you create a dashboard and you later want to move it to a new folder, you can click and drag it in the navigation bar to a new location, to a new folder. A caveat here is that the folder you are moving the dashboard to has to be open and cannot be empty. But it does mean you don't have to go into the system menu to move dashboards, although that method is still available as an option, as is actually editing in the dashboard itself using the cog, and we'll take a look at that when I do the demonstration. And something that might not be obvious when you first look at Dashboard Server 7.1, but this is something we think can really improve your workflow when editing tiles. As you scroll down the dashboard, the time frame picker and the edit cog, which are up in the right hand side of the dashboard, well, they'll come with you now. So if you're looking to edit a tile that's a long way down the dashboard, you can simply scroll down to that tile and the edit cog will come along with you. No need to yo-yo up and down the dashboards to edit tiles, and similarly with the time frame option. But let's take a look at that. First of all, let's take a look at the resizable navigation bar. You just need to hover over the navigation bar now and you can see that you get the arrows where you can stretch, make the navigation bar wider, make it narrower as you see fit or as you need. And you can also see that as I make the navigation bar wider, the tiles will auto size depending on the width of the actual navigation bar. So the tiles are either getting wider or narrower depending on what I'm doing with the navigation bar. Secondly, let's take a look at clicking and dragging. So I can, if I want to, just switch these two tiles around, now these two dashboards around, sorry, within the same folder. I can also move between folders, so I could move this dashboard from one folder to another. Remember that there is the caveat, you can't move dashboards into an empty folder. So if in my eagerness I now move this across to this folder and decide, I want to move back, then I'm stuck. I can't move this back in. It's outside of that folder structure. I can't move a dashboard into an empty folder. What do we do? Well, there's always the option to go through the system menu as we did previously. There is also the option here which has always been available in Dashboard Server. Click on the edit cog, go to move, and we get our wonderful option here. So I can come down to the dashboards that I want to move back. So I want to move this one back in here, and then just scroll down and click on move. We'll see now that it's moved that back to the original folder. And now, because there is a dashboard in this folder, I can click and drag this one back up as well. So really good to be able to click and drag between folders, but just do remember that caveat that the folder you're moving into has to be open and it has to have a dashboard in there already. It can't be empty. Final thing to have a look at, if I start to scroll down, let's find this is a dashboard that goes down far enough. What you'll see, if I come back up to the top, keep an eye on the edit cog, keep an eye on the time frame, and as I scroll down, they've disappeared and suddenly they've come straight back again. So they will now scroll down with you, they'll float down with you, so that if you did want to edit a tile further down the dashboard, you've got the edit cog available to you directly here. You don't have to yo-yo up and down the dashboard to get to this edit cog anymore. Similarly with the time frame option here, it floats up and down with you should you want to change any of the tiles. Next up, and this one was highly requested, the Dashboard Server portal is now mobile friendly. We know that a lot of you need to keep an eye on your environment when you're away from your desk, whether that's in a meeting, on the go, or being paged at an inconvenient hour. The DS portal now uses a responsive layout that adapts to your screen size automatically. On a phone or tablet, the navigation collapses into a mobile-friendly menu. Your tiles reflow to stack vertically in a readable way. Text scales appropriately, and the key actions remain accessible without needing to zoom in. You don't need to do anything to enable this, it just works. The next time someone on your team opens Dashboard Server on their phone, they'll get the mobile experience automatically. This is particularly valuable for on-call engineers, NOC teams who walk around, and anyone presenting dashboards to stakeholders on a tablet. Let's quickly switch over to the demo and have a quick look at that in action within Firefox, set up in responsive mode. And we can see here on getting started, we have the responsive mode now working as everyone would expect. If I browse down and look at, say, Teams and SQL on Windows, again, we can see responsive mode in action. And another example would be perhaps under, say, sample integrations and service desk. Again, we can see responsive mode working exactly as we'd want it to, as if you were looking at it on a phone. So that is the mobile friendly portal that's going to be available as part of Dashboard Server 7.1. Moving on, let's talk about the alerts tile, and specifically a new customization option that gives you much more control over how it looks. You can now set conditional formatting on the alerts tile in the same way that you've been able to do on the grid tile up until now. So rather than being locked into a default color scheme, you can define exactly which color is used for different alert states, critical, warning, informational, and you can also do some conditional formatting based upon perhaps how long a particular alert has been open, how long since it was raised. This might seem like a cosmetic change, but it's important when presenting dashboards to stakeholders or displaying them on a NOC screen to have colors that match an organization's conventions. It reduces cognitive load and helps people immediately understand what they're looking at. Let me show you how this works. Let's take a look at how this works. So here we have a standard alert dashboard, just a list of open active alerts. Let's go in and edit this tile. And underneath columns, you're going to see, well, let's take a look at the date raised. And what I want to do is perhaps highlight any alerts that have been open for a specific period of time or longer. I want to highlight them either with the text in red or with the background in red. So I can do that now in Dashboard Server 7.1 by coming in here, clicking on Edit, choosing Add Color. And I can have multiple conditions, but I'm just going to sort of stick to one condition here. Click on Add. And because I'm looking at raised, what I want to do is say if the value is more than or equal to 1 day in the past. And I want those to be shown in red. So if I scroll down now, we can see here they're coming up in red. And that's because I've chosen background. I might just want the text. And now it's probably hard to see on here, but just the text itself is showing up in red. And if I want to, I can say I want the whole row in red. So this can be particularly useful if you want to sort of have aged alerts which are a high priority, which need to be looked at, highlighted in a particular color. Highlighted in red would seem ideal, so that the eye is immediately drawn to it. Anybody looking at these alerts knows that they need to be actioned. Click on Done, publish this, and everyone can clearly see that we've got a lot of alerts that really do need immediate actioning. And now for something new, a brand new tile type. In Dashboard Server 7.1, we've introduced the ribbon tile. The best way to think about the ribbon tile is as a flattened out donut tile. If you've used the donut tile to visualize proportional data, like alert distributions or state breakdowns across your environment, you'll immediately get the ribbon tile. It shows the same kind of proportional information, but in a horizontal bar format rather than as a circle. In the screenshot, you can see a donut tile and a ribbon tile using the same data. The ribbon tile sits in a horizontal strip, which makes it a great fit for dashboards where you want to show a breakdown across the top or perhaps the bottom of a section without taking up as much space that a circle would. Creating the ribbon tile is very straightforward. So let's just create a new dashboard. Let's see, let's choose these. I will do a donut tile at the top and configure this, perhaps for status, donut, and I'll choose health service watcher, and everything's healthy at the moment. That's good news. Standard donut tile. Let's do the same for the ribbon tile, status. Now you'll see here the new ribbon tile, and again I'll just do this for health service watcher. And thankfully they've both come up with exactly the same number. So this is the ribbon tile, health service watcher status, and that's the donut tile, also for health service watcher status. Now if I want to, I can have a look perhaps at the alerts. So donut tile and alerts. It would help if I could learn to type. But again, look at the alerts, choose the donut tile. I'm just going to show all the alerts. We've just got 4 error alerts at the moment. And let's do the same for the ribbon tile. Configure tile again. We're looking at the alerts, and this time choose the ribbon tile. And again, I will leave all of the configuration options on the default settings. Click on Done, and again, we can see there how each of the tiles look. And onto dashboard variables, functionality that was added to Squared Up Cloud a while ago and was so popular we've ported it into Dashboard Server. So what are dashboard variables? Well, dashboard variables are a feature that allow users to create flexible and reusable dashboards. Instead of being limited to hard-coded tile objects, variables enable dashboard viewers to switch between objects on the fly. This feature is particularly useful for creating dashboards that can display information about a range of objects, such as a list of virtual machine guests, and viewers can then filter to a specific virtual machine or specific virtual machines by changing the dashboard variable. Variables themselves are created when in edit mode on the dashboard, and you can set some defaults as well when users first go to the tile or go to the dashboard. But this is going to be easier to demonstrate than just talk about. So let's switch to a demo environment now. So let's take a look at how dashboard variables work in practice. So what I've got at the top here is a VMware grid tile with each of my virtual machines listed. And what I've got underneath then is a performance chart, a VMware performance chart showing CPU metrics for each of the virtual machines. What I can do using dashboard variables is click on one of the servers and it will just show me information from that particular virtual machine, that particular guest. Perhaps choose another one and then it will just show me information from that particular guest. But not only can I drill down or correlate between tiles on the same dashboard, I can also use this for drill down. So if I have a top level VMware dashboard which perhaps has each of my virtual machines health status, so block tiles, and then I click on one of them and it will drill down and I'll get the drill down dashboard for that particular virtual machine. If I go back to VMware top level and choose a different virtual machine, that will drill down to a dashboard for that particular virtual machine. But when we're doing all of this, remember, we don't have any VMware management packs installed. We don't have any SCOM classes or SCOM relationships doing this drill down for us. It's dashboard variables that are doing the heavy lifting here. So let's take a look at creating this dashboard ourselves. So I'm going to add a folder. Let's call it examples. And then I'm going to create a new dashboard. I'm going to have the grid tile at the top and the performance chart underneath. And so the dashboard name, I'm going to call this test VMs. And this will just be our list of virtual machines. Let's configure this using the VMware grid tile. So configure tile, integrations, VMware grid tile. Make sure we're connected to the right vCenter server. We want a list of virtual machines. And I want to have a list of virtual machines from a particular folder in vCenter. So I'm going to choose test VMs. I'll leave the grid columns on the default. And then for the grid options, what I want to do is link this to the performance chart that I'm going to create underneath. So what I'll do, I'm going to copy and paste the URL in because you've seen how bad my typing is. And what we're going to do here is that when you select on a virtual machine in the grid, it's going to go down to the dashboard test VMs. So basically the same dashboard, and it's going to be passing across a variable called guest ID. And it's passing across the virtual machine, the guest ID, from whatever you click on the grid tile to the CPU or performance chart underneath that. I'm going to deselect open in new tab, click on done, click on publish, and there's our grid tile. If I click on Lamar, see it takes us back to the same dashboard. It passes across. You'll see right at the top here is var guest ID VM 1031. So you can sort of see how it's working in terms of using the URL, but we're not passing it to the performance chart yet. So let's come back and edit the dashboard and let's put the CPU metrics on here. Let's configure the tile. And again, it's going to be VMware integration. So go to the integrations, VMware line graph. Make sure we're connected to the right vCenter server. On the scope, again, we're looking at a virtual machine. But now for objects, we want to be able to use a dashboard variable, and that means we need to come across here where it says use variables, turn on dashboard variables, and then specify a variable name. So if you remember back to the URL, we said guest ID, and VAR is sort of hard coded the prefix that we use to prefix any dashboard variable. So now when we click on an item within the grid tile, the ID of that guest is going to be passed down to the CPU line chart. I can accept the defaults on most of these. I need to give it a metric, and so I said CPU, so let's choose a CPU metric. And now we can see it's already updated with the preview. So let's click on Done. Let's click on Publish. And if I click on a particular virtual machine here, you can see that the CPU chart is updated below. If I click on a different virtual machine here, you can see that the CPU information is now upgraded for that particular virtual machine. If I want to do anything on the fly, I can come up to Variables, and I can do multiple virtual machines at the same time. Again, I'm going to do copy and paste because you know how poor my typing is. And now you can see that with all the virtual machines listed there, you've got all of the virtual machines on the CPU chart on the line graph. Come back to variables, just to highlight this here, dashboard variables for the current session. That means that if I click away from here and then come back, it will have forgotten the information. It won't retain that information. So if I click on Hopper, I will only see Hopper underneath. If I want the default to show information from all of the virtual machines, and I can come up to the cog, I can choose variables here, and here I can set my default variables. So I can click on Add. The variable name was guest ID, and the default value I can set to all of those. And again, now you can see the preview updating straight away. If I now publish, I can go and click on an individual one and just get the CPU information from individual virtual machines. Or if I click on the dashboard over here, test VMs, the default is to show information from all of the virtual machines. So that was an example of linking a VMware grid tile with the CPU tile on the same dashboard, but you can also link tiles across dashboards. So if I come down to, so we're in the examples, let's create a drill down dashboard, which will have the CPU information on it. So let's just call this drill down and have this as CPU. And we're going to configure the grid tile from test VMs to drill down to this drill down dashboard. So we're going to do this in much the same way as we did the other CPU performance chart. We configure, it's an integration, it's a VMware integration. It's a line graph. Make sure we're connected to the right vCenter server. It's going to be virtual machines that we want to populate this with. And we want to enable dashboard variables because we want to be passing a variable in here so that the CPU graph just shows information from a specific virtual machine. So let's turn on variables, enable them here, and we call the variable guest ID. Click on Done. Well, no, we need a metric first. Getting a bit ahead of myself there. Just going to do the CPU metric. Click on Done. We then go to the test VMs, and what we're going to do now, or what I'm going to do now, is just show you how to switch the path to a dashboard on a different, or to a different dashboard. So if we come down to grid options here, we can see at the moment we're linking to the dashboard test VMs. We're linking to the tile on the same dashboard here. We want to link to the drill down dashboard. So if I go back to drill down and click on share, what we've got here is the URL for that dashboard. So I can copy that, come back to test VMs, come in here, edit, and edit the grid tile and update the grid options so that we're actually heading off to a different tile. It's that there. Click on Done, click on Publish, and now if I click on Hopper, you can see it's gone down to the drill down tile showing Hopper. If I come back to Test VMs and go to Lamar, it's hopping on to the drill down tile and just looking at Lamar. So all I've done is update the link options on the grid tile to point to a different dashboard. I hope you're as excited about dashboard variables as we are, but now on to sort of a final wrap up on other matters. We have done some other updates. We've upgraded all the JavaScript libraries to the latest patch versions. We've done a big security sweep there. A big thank you to all the customers who have helped out with that. We've also gone through the backlog to fix bugs that customers have raised as important to them. For example, in the performance tile, no data was displayed when the metric instance contained special characters. That's been fixed very quickly in response to a couple of customer requests. Engineering has also been hard at work at performance improvements to ensure the dashboards are rendered in a timely and performant manner, and will continue that throughout the lifetime of the project. The release candidate is available today, and general availability will be towards the end of March or early April. We'll certainly let you know when that's available. And on to some other big news, and that's that Scomathon 2026 is only 4 weeks away, so make sure you sign up to the biggest and best Scom event of the year. Brought to you as a partnership between Gripmatics, NICE, Topcore and ourselves at Squared Up. We'll be donating $2 per person to charity, so make sure you attend not only for all the real world insights from SCOM veterans around the world, but also to help raise money for charity. We've got 15 sessions over the course of the day from 9 a.m. UK time to 7 p.m. UK time, and topics cover all aspects of SCOM. Enhancement for community management packs around Hyper-V monitoring, log file monitoring, and URL monitoring. And we have a great MP Builder utility to showcase. I'm glad this wasn't available 10 years ago, as it would have put me out of a job. Also, incident management integrating SCOM and ServiceNow, and sessions on leveraging AI to enhance monitoring and security, and a whole lot more. I really look forward to seeing everyone there again. There's also a webinar 2 weeks today on April the 2nd, which will cover Dashboard Server and Squared Up Cloud working together as part of a unified enterprise observability strategy. The average enterprise today runs 15 to 20 monitoring and observability tools across on-premises and cloud, and each has its own query language, its own interface, its own mental model. The webinar will focus on how Squared Up is the visualization layer that allows you to stitch together your data sources, correlating your data across silos to provide real insights to NOC and operational teams, DevOps engineers, and executives. So sign up today to find out more about that. So that completes the Squared Up Dashboard Server 7.1 release webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today. Ash has been working really hard answering all your questions in chat, but if you do have any further questions, I'll stay on the line and we can keep answering the questions as they come in.